good morning. And for some of you, I think it's pretty early in the morning. My name is Donna Dorzinski, and I am your trainer for today. It's a pleasure to be with you. Just a little bit about myself. I've been in clinical research for the past 30 years. First 15 years of those I spent in big pharma and clinical operations. And the last 15 years I've spent with just-in-time GCP doing clinical compliance consulting and TMF management. I work with small and mid-sized pharmaceutical companies, CROs, and clinical sites, just really helping them maintain their regulatory compliance, preparing them for a regulatory inspection. And of course, because of that, a huge focus of the work I do is in trial master file. Recently became a member of the TMF Reference Model Steering Committee, and I've been working on the TMF Reference Model Committee for the past 7 years. So today we're going to cover a couple of different topics, but the focus of our presentation is about maintaining that relationship between the CRO and the sponsor around how you manage your TMF. And so first thing we'll talk about is what are the responsibilities of the sponsor and the CRO in TMF management. My goal is to demonstrate an understanding of the key components of a TMF study map, because that's a really important part of that relationship. And we'll talk about what those key components. So we'll understand them, and then we'll be able to have some discussions about them. So I want to start by talking about the definition of a trial master file. It's important to understand that your trial master file is a standalone set of documentation, right? It shouldn't need a whole lot of explanation. And the goal of a truly inspection-ready TMF means that the amount of interaction that you have with your inspector should be limited. You really shouldn't need to have that much interaction because the TMF is going to tell the story for you. And so a well thought out, a complete TMF really should have a voice of its own. It's the story of what happened during the study. Now, it's the whole story. It's not just the good parts of the study, but it's the entire study. And it's important that the story of your study is reflected within the TMF itself. It's really that collection of documentation that allows for the assessment of data integrity and compliance with GCP. Now, these are definitions that come from the European Directive from 2005. And so as long ago as 2005, we were starting to hear the term TMF or trial master file. What I really want you to understand is it's this collective output of all functional areas. So, well, before we used to think of it as just a clinical operations responsibility. Today, we know that it's really the responsibility of anyone who contributes to the study, anyone within the sponsor organization, and then anyone within the vendor organizations, whether it's your CRO, or it's your CMC depot vendor, or it's your safety vendor, or it's your data management and biostatistics vendor. In any account, all of these groups, all of these organizations and groups are contributing to the trial master file. And so we need to make sure that everybody is in agreement and understands that. So let's start by thinking about what's the purpose of the TMF. Really, your TMF is that record of compliance with good clinical practice, your procedural documents, and the protocol. And this is the tool that your inspector, the regulatory authority, uses to assess the validity of the trial conduct. And the goal here when we run a study is to get our drug approved. And so how do we do that? Well, we submit our documentation in the form of an NDA or a BLA or some type of a submission to any really health authority. It's not just the FDA, but any of your international health authorities. And with that, you send them the data and all the supporting information around why they should approve that drug, because basically it's effective and it's safe, right? So that's the whole goal here of your submission. The goal of the TMF is to support the validity of that information and to demonstrate that you were compliant and that that data was collected in a GCP compliant manner. And that's really the purpose of a regulatory inspection. It's that evidence that supports the safety and efficacy claims that will ultimately lead to your marketing application approval. So the TMF really is the cornerstone of inspection readiness. It really is an important document. So let's just look at the FDA requirements for this. There are 2 regulations that reference requirements for TMF in the Code of Federal Regulations. One of them is 31250, and the other one is 31252. In terms of 31250, it says sponsors are responsible for ensuring that the investigation is conducted in accordance with the study plan and the protocols contained in the IND. And so what this means is that you need to be able to demonstrate some way that you did what you said you were going to do in your study plans and in your protocols. And the way you do that is with your TMF. The European directive from 2005 actually calls out a TMF, says it's got to be consistent of essential documents which allow you to basically assess the quality of the data.